Imagine me, a little 8th grader on Christmas morning. My older sister is stacking our presents into piles, getting ready to carefully open them. I go to open my first present, and I open up a phone case from my mom's phone. Real funny, I guess. I go to open up some more presents, and I find a BlackBerry. And let me tell you, I was so excited. I'd never had a phone before. It was my first ever. It was really exciting because I was able to text my friends and call my mom in case of emergencies, which was important because I walked home alone from school. And then one day during my freshman year of high school, I found that it didn't work anymore, and I didn't understand why. And I went home and asked my mom, and she told me that we couldn't afford it anymore. And that's when I learned the pain of cancellation fees and overdraft fees and just how expensive being poor can be. I started noticing little things about my friends at school. That person has a new phone. That person has new shoes. New. I started noticing things that aren't supposed to matter. But that ended up being the least of my worries. Around this time, my mom started getting unusually sick. It was like bronchitis, but it just kept coming back and getting worse and worse. It turned out that our apartment had black mold in the air ducts, and she was allergic to mold, and it almost killed her. Think with your head and not with your heart. That's what my sophomore year economics professor always said. She banned 2 words in her class, fair and free, because economists just don't care, and there's no such thing as a free lunch. In one particularly bad class, she talked about poverty, the causes and solutions. She said 99.6% of poor people in America own a fridge. They're not really poor. Not only that, poor people in America are spending their money on McDonald's. They're not really poor. If they spent less money eating out, then they wouldn't be so poor. She didn't mention how a single mother with 5 kids is gonna feed her kids with pneumonia. Not only that, she didn't understand how the poor did spend their money. Because I don't know about y'all, but when we went to McDonald's, we went straight for the dollar menu. 10 hamburgers, $10, that's just as cheap as the cheap meals she suggested. I couldn't help but imagining her saying this to my mother. I wanted to confront her. I wanted to tell her that I thought that she was wrong, but I felt so powerless, especially when I turned to see all of my classmates around me nodding their heads in agreement, eating up the casual classist garbage that she spewed. But you know what? I'll take a second to turn off my heart and just think with my head. There's more food than there are empty stomachs. There are more homes than there are homeless people. We live in a world of abundance. We don't give food to poor people, not because we don't have it, but because we don't think they deserve it, because we believe that poor people deserve to be poor, that they haven't worked hard enough. I can't tell you everything that I want to tell you today. Let me tell you, there was more trauma than just not having a phone when I was a kid, being in poverty. But I want you to know that poor people are some of the absolute hardest working people that I know. And if this is what happens when we think with our heads, I think it's about time we start thinking with our hearts. Thank you.